Yeah, and then I think it tells you that you have to like agree to it or something. Yep. Okay. Oh, welcome everybody. Happy Thursday. Today's class, because if this is newer class for you if you haven't been in before, is that we focus on one pose and we break it down, right? So today's pose that we are focusing on is Rajakapotasana. Pigeon.
Oh, okay.
Pigeon pose. So what the long complicated name actually translates to, right, is one-legged king pigeon pose, right? And so my thought for you going into the posture is to not let it become something that's ordinary, right? Because you think about it, right? A pigeon is a pretty simple bird, right? It's nothing particularly elaborate or exciting. So why does it get this long, elaborate name? I have no idea. But we have the opportunity to look at what we do every day as something that isn't boring or routine or meaningless, but something that we can make magnificent, right? That if you can take a pigeon and make it a king, right? The royalness that you bring to something in yoga is how much you see it as being a representation of the universal or the cosmic, right? So if you treat your poses, you treat your body, you treat your practice that way, is then everything that you do becomes this embodiment of a bigger energy than just, oh, I'm moving my hips this way, or I'm moving my thighs this way, or I'm moving my shoulders in this way, right? So the attitude of the pose, as I refer to it, is this, right? Is to take something that maybe you do all the time and to make it grand, right? To let it be something that is really expansive and that brings you to a point of saying that what I'm doing here is so meaningful, right? You put a crown on it, you put a sparkle on it, you put something on it that makes it less than or more than just a everyday pose, right? So you make a pigeon a king. A comfortable seat if you're not there already. But the attitude of our poses makes such a huge difference. The eyes close. As you enter into a posture, if you think of it as entering into that royalness or that completeness, that bigness, then that's what you'll find. If you enter into the pose thinking that what you're going to find is struggle, that's what you'll find. So because you've done pigeon 1,000 times, drop out of your mind every other time you've ever done pigeon. Instead, breathe in the idea that you are practicing to find the magnificent capabilities of your body. And that's the only reason to practice. As you're breathing, let the breath fill your belly. So as you're breathing into the lowest part of your spine, you're actually giving a little massage, opening up the outer hips, opening up the low back. Even with just your breath, something that is so simple and mundane, you're beginning to open the hips. Good. One more deep breath in, pausing at the top of the breath. Lift your spine a little longer. So that lifting of the spine, maybe you feel a squeezing through your pelvis, through the legs, through the low belly, squeeze. And then release the breath, release that squeeze, but stay long. And then bring the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. We'll open with the sound of Om, deep breath in. And let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. You can release your hands from in front of the heart center, please. And then come forward onto your backs. Yeah, onto your backs. Good. You can either spin around if you're in the room or not. Doesn't matter which way you face. Come onto your backs. Good. And bend your knees. Plant your feet. Good. The arms are alongside the torso. So you're moving in and out of bridge pose. So Joanne, bend your knees, plant your feet. So as you inhale, you're lifting your hips up, stretching the arms up alongside your ears. So the breath in is a big, long stretch through your spine. So hips go up, arms go up alongside your ears. And then as you exhale, hips come back to the floor, arms come back down to the floor. Good, and then keep doing that. As you inhale, you rise up, expand through the chest, through the belly. And then as you exhale, release the hands down, release the hips down. Good, and keep going like that. Having an awareness though, that as you lift your hips, you're not bringing all of your weight onto your shoulders, is that you're trying to have this feeling of staying really rooted in your feet, heels and the balls of the feet. So as you're lifting your hips up, it's really this pulling the pelvis towards your toes and your heart towards your top of your head. So it's really elongating the spine. Good, so the more you anchor into your feet here and let your knees move towards the tips of your toes, your hips move towards the tips of your toes, is that you actually start to open up through the hips and thighs a little bit more. Good. If you just rock your weight onto your shoulders, is that that's all you're going to find, right? Is that you're rocking your weight onto your shoulders. Good. So a couple more breaths, lifting the hips all the way up on the inhale. And then softening the hips to the floor on the exhale. Nice. So next time your hips come up to the sky, stay there. So you lift the hips up into the bridge pose and then take your elbows back down to the floor alongside your ribs. So robot arms, pressing down to the upper arms. Again, drag back on your heels. Take your butt forward towards your heels a little bit more. Good. Feel as though you are squeezing a block between the inner thighs. Dana, lift your left outer hip a little higher. There you go. Good. And then I want you to actually drop your butt just a tiny bit so that there's a softness through the front of your groins, and then do little pelvic tilts here. Good. So tilting the pelvis forward and back, still in bridge pose, hips are lifted. Don't let your knees splay wide. Good. So it's not so much a lifting up and down as it's actually arching the back a little bit more and then curling the spine, and arching the back and curling the spine. So it's like you're trying to do cat-cow, but you're in bridge. Good. Nice. Also just waking up your glutes here. Good. Next time you lift, again, lift all the way up into your bridge pose, press into the upper arms, feel the wideness of your chest, the wideness of your back. Good. And then slowly release the hips all the way back down to the floor. Good. Draw the knees in towards your chest, please. Good. Take your right thigh on top of your left, stack the knees, separate your feet. Yep. Gomukhasana legs. So the feet go wide. Reach for your ankles or your shins. Flex your feet, please. Good. And you're drawing the knees in towards the belly, pressing down to the lower spine. And then even if you're holding your feet, I want you to feel as though you're squeezing your feet towards each other. So again, you're engaging that inner thigh squeeze. Good. And as you squeeze those feet towards each other, but they're still wide, you're probably going to feel that go all the way up the outer edge of the leg. Good. Right, the idea of this kind of way of practicing is that you don't assume that the pose itself is meant to do all the work for you, but that you are preparing your body step by step, pose by pose, to find an easefulness in more and more complicated positions. Good. One more breath, squeezing the feet towards each other, but keeping them wide. Good. And then release, please. Take the legs all the way up to the sky. Flex the feet. Good. Hips or heels are right in line with your hips. And then let your legs drop wide to a straddle. Keep your low belly drawn in. Let your legs go wide. Good. Yep. Keep drawing the ribs down to the floor. Let the legs drop open wide. Flex your feet. Good. And then without using your hands, bend your knees towards your armpits like you're coming into happy baby. So draw the knees in. Keep your low back anchored to the floor. No hands. Good. And then stretch your legs out straight again, nice and wide, no hands. Good. And again, you're keeping the low ribs drawn in. Bend your knees towards your armpits like you're coming into happy baby. Good. Keep your low back anchored to the floor. I know you've never had to do happy baby as muscular energy. And then extend the legs out and wide. That's not true, because if you came to the class that I did like this on happy baby, is you did have to work. And then bend your knees one more time. Squeeze the knees in towards your armpits. Good. And then stretch the legs back out wide, and then bring them all the way back up together overhead. Nice. And then bend the knees in towards your chest. Good. Take the left knee on top of the right. So cross the legs the other way that you had before. Separate the feet, reach for your ankles or your shins. Good. And you're reaching for whatever allows you to let your shoulders remain relaxed on the floor. So if you're reaching for your feet, but it's making your shoulders hunch up, then reach for your shins and relax your shoulders. Good. can't remember who I was joking with this about, but you can practice pigeon, a pose like pigeon, with the intention that it's going to open your hips, and it's true. But you can also practice a pose like pigeon with the understanding that it's going to open your back, your shoulders, also true. So if your back is tight going into pigeon, your shoulders are tight going into pigeon, guess what's going to happen? Your hips are going to feel tighter. Your lower back is going to feel tighter. So you can't ignore, right, the upper body, especially if we want that full variation of pigeon where we're actually doing a very elaborate, quad stretch. You can't ignore that. Squeeze the feet towards each other. Activate that inner thigh energy. Good. I know I've said this before, but any pose that requires external rotation of the hips, if you want that pose to be easy, you have to practice internal rotation of your hips. Good. And then unwind the legs, please. Take the legs straight up to the sky. Good. Beautiful. One more breath, just letting the legs reach, press out through your heels. And then hug your right knee in towards your chest, please. Squeeze it in. Let your left leg, you can keep that foot flexed. Let that leg start to move towards the floor. So it hovers just an inch or two above the floor. So extend it out. Good. As you extend it out, let it come close to the floor. And then actively from your low belly, pull that thigh up and in. Good. And press your right shin against your hand. So you're trying to pull your right thigh away from your belly. Good. Again, this is creating more active energy in the big muscles of the legs. Beautiful. And then pull the left knee back in towards your chest. Squeeze it in. Nice. Switch your hands to the left shin. Good. Stretch the right leg up to the sky. Flex the foot. And then start to take that right leg out and down towards the floor. Good. So it hovers just above. So just an inch or two. It could be higher than that if you need, but bring it down. Good. And then you're pulling that thigh bone up and in. So again, you're trying to get the sensation of what it feels like to actually draw your leg into the pelvis, engaging the abdominals, pressing down through the lower back. Press your left shin against your hands. So you add resistance. Nice. Good job, Lorraine. Good, Joanne. Nice, Joy. Good, Kristen. Nice, Maria. Awesome. Bring that right knee back in towards your chest, please. So you're squeezing both knees in. Draw your knees just a little bit wider, like you're in child's pose. So the big toes can even move towards each other, knees wider. And then press both shins in towards the armpits. Press your shins back against your hands. So it's like you're in child's pose, but on your back. Good. Low back anchors down to the floor. Nice. Good. And then release that, please. Take your right thigh on top of your left again, this time wrapping the legs like you would for eagle. So the inner thighs touch, outer shins come together. Good. And take your left arm over top of your right in front of your chest. So wrap the arms as well. Nice. And you're keeping that lower rib cage drawing down. Good. Press the shins against each other here. So instead of focusing on the thighs, focus on pressing your shins against each other. Try and find contact between the outer shins. Good, Dana. I'm going to say don't double wrap the ankles, just press the shins. Good. Don't let your hands fall onto your face. Keep your armpits drawing down towards the floor. And then again, no hands. Try and draw your knees in towards your belly a little bit more. So you got to bend that left knee. Good. And really press down into the lower spine. Nice. Good. One more breath, drawing the knees in towards the chest. Awesome. And then release, please. Stretch the legs up to the sky. Release the arms. Good. Bend your knees into happy baby. So take the knees wide. This time you can reach for your ankles or your feet if you'd like. Good. Low back stays anchored to the floor. Nice, you guys. If your elbows are inside of your knees comfortably, then give a little squeeze of your knees in. And as your knees squeeze in, try and take your sit bones wide. So the knees hug in, but your sit bones go wide, like you're pushing your outer hips wider. Good. And then release, please, bringing the knees back together. Take your left thigh over top of the right, so eagle pose on the other side, pressing the shins against each other. Right arm comes over top of left in front of your chest, wrapping the arms. And again, I want your focus to be on pressing your shins against each other. So that's going to create more internal rotation. So it's the knees really angling in towards the midline. Good. And then as the knees angle in, the inner thighs rotate inward. Good. Then you can engage the low belly, start to draw the knees in towards your chest a little bit more. You got to bend that right knee a lot. So Mark, really focus on bending that right knee. There you go. And then still try and press the shins together. Good. Nice, you guys. Low back anchors down to the floor. Don't struggle. Again, if you go into this feeling like you're just going to struggle, then you will only experience the struggle. Feel effort and feel magnificent in your effort. Good. One more breath. Squeeze those knees in. And then slowly release. Please take the legs back up to the sky. Release the arms. One more happy baby. Bend the knees. Reach for the ankles or the feet. Good. The joke that if you're on your back, you can't possibly be working hard. Broken. Yeah. Nice, you guys. Hug the knees in towards the chest, please. Good. Roll forward and back on your spine. Create a little bit of momentum. Kind of fun for you guys in the studio who are facing the back wall. So maybe you scoot back on your mat a little bit, because what I would love for you to be able to do is to roll yourself straight into chair pose. So plant your feet, lift your butt. Straight into chair. Go. Yes. Nice, nice, nice. Good, good, good. I know. Find your way to chair, even if it wasn't graceful. Pigeons. Good. Come all the way up to stand, please. Nicely done. Good. If you're facing the wall in the studio, stay where you are. And then inhale the arms up to the sky, please. Good. Pull your right knee up in towards your chest. No hands. Good. Doing this on purpose, the no hands thing. Good. So draw up. And again, getting into that lower belly. So send your butt slightly back in space. So instead of your shoulders leaning back, and don't pretend they aren't, draw your butt slightly back. Bring your ribs slightly in. Shoulders slightly forward. Good. Now take that right ankle on top of the left thigh. Bend your left knee, so a cross-legged chair pose. And if you are facing a wall, bend your knee enough that you can take your hands forward to the wall and your butt backwards. Good. If you don't have a wall, that's okay. Just work that cross-legged chair action. Good. Butt goes back. Nice, you guys. Good, good, good. If you have the wall, no complaints. Move your butt back in space. Good. Even more, Barry. Butt back, butt back. There you go. Nice, you guys. Slowly come on out, please. As you come up, take your right ankle in front of your left. So you straighten the legs. Right ankle comes in front of the left one. Good. And then forward fold, please. You can walk yourself down the wall if you have a wall in front of you, or you can simply take the hands to the floor or a block. Cross-legged forward fold. Good. Nice, you guys. Bend your back knee just a little bit more so that you're not locking that shin. And then scoop your belly, send your butt higher towards the sky to straighten the legs. So you should feel like neither knee is able to lock completely. Good. So if you did this every time before you came into Pigeon, your hips and your IT bands would already be very used to the kind of opening you want them to have. Good. Unwind your feet, please. So standing forward fold with the feet underneath the hips. Good. Right hand to left ankle or shin. Left arm to the sky, or left hand to your lower back. Good. Press your inner thighs away from each other. So you want to feel like your hips are getting as wide as they can possibly get. From in the inner leg, you're pushing wide. Good. And then release and switch. Left hand comes to outer right ankle or shin. Right arm to the sky or to your lower back. Again, pushing wide through the inner shins, through the inner thighs. Good. That pushing wide is your best friend when it comes to poses like Pigeon. Good. Release that hand down to the floor, please. Nice. Bring yourself all the way up to stand. You can bring hands to the hips if you'd like, or again, if you have a wall in front of you, make sure you don't bang your head. All the way up. And then arms to the sky. No hands. Left knee comes up towards your chest. Good. Squeeze it up and in. So again, activating, using the thigh muscles, using the internal hip flexors to lift that leg. Draw your butt back in space. Top of your right thigh goes back. Nice, Barry. Good. Shoulders are going to feel like they come slightly forward. Sarah, ribs in. That's it. Good, you guys. And then take that left ankle over your right thigh, bend your right knee, take your hands back to the wall if you have a wall, or simply come into your cross-legged chair. Bend that right knee a lot. Take your butt backwards, arms alongside your ears. Good, Kristen. Just really feel like you're continuing to widen through your hips. So you're still trying to push wide, even though the legs are crossed a little different. Good, you guys. Breathe into your magnificence. Again, if you go into a pose expecting there to be struggle or for there to be just limitation, is that is all you will find. So go into it assuming that your effort is magnificent, that what you experience and what you come up with is, however it appears, royal, totally integrated. Good. Slowly bring yourself back up out of the pose as you straighten the legs. Take your left ankle in front of your right ankle. Good. And again, either arms to the sky and forward fold, or walk your hands down the wall if that's easier. Cross-legged forward fold. You can use blocks underneath the hands if you need. And then make sure that you are bending your back knee a little bit so that you soften that shin forward. Good. And then you scoop your belly, lift your butt towards the sky to take the legs more towards straight, but don't let the knees push backwards. Good. Again, pigeon is a pose. It's not just about your hips, where you think your hips are. Pigeon is a pose for your entire back, relationship of your legs to your spine. Good. Nice, you guys. And then slowly release, unwind the legs, please. Standing forward fold with the feet underneath your hips. Yep. Bend your knees, drop your belly onto your thighs, drop your head, wrap the arms around the backs of the legs. Squeeze in. Widen your inner knees. Good. Widen your inner thighs. So really hug behind the legs. So not just holding the calves, but really squeezing behind the legs, like you're hugging your thighs. Good. And then scoop your belly. So you start to feel that stretch in the lower spine. Good. Now start to straighten the legs any amount. Push your butt to the sky. Keep your head dropped. Keep your belly close to your thighs. I don't care how bent your knees have to stay. Widen your inner knees. Widen your inner thighs. Focus on that stretch through the lower spine. Good. And then release the hands to the floor, please. Good. Roll yourself up one vertebra at a time. Come all the way to stand. My people who are facing the wall, turn around. Come to the top of your mat. Ah, ready for pigeon. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Good. Exhale, fold forward, hands find the floor. Nice. Step your right leg back behind you. Good. Inhale the arms to the sky, high lunge. Nice. Good. Bend your back knee just for a moment. As you bend your back knee, tilt your hip points forward and up. Good. And feel yourself widening through your inner thighs. Push the front inner thigh wide, push the back inner thigh wide. Nice. Now maintain your pelvis just like this and start to straighten the back thigh again. Hello, back leg and pigeon, right? It's that same feeling that the pelvis is lifting up, but the back thigh is extending away. Good. Now take your torso forward parallel to the floor. It feels like it gets easier, right? That's why we like to come forward in pigeon. Good. So scoop your belly, send your left knee forward over the ankle more. Kick your right thigh higher. Good. Now lift those pelvic bones again. Nice. Release the hands down to the floor. Good job. Take that left leg up and back behind you, down dog split. If you remember where we were. Good. Bend the knee, kick your heel in towards your butt. Stack the left hip on top of the right. Good. Optional here is to go ahead and flip your dog. So bringing that left foot to the floor behind you, left arm comes up to the sky, opening the chest and the pelvis to the ceiling. Good. Optional. Again, you might stay right where you are. Beautiful. Good. And then unwind, come back to downward facing dog, left leg lifted. Good. And then step that foot forward between the hands again. So it's still the left foot forward. Good. Drop the back knee. Use a blanket there if you'd like. Inhale the arms to the sky. Asana. Good. And again, trying to find that feeling of lifting your hip points up off of your front thigh. So you got to draw your rib cage in. Nice. Take your hands behind your head, elbows wide. Good. So as you start to lift your chest higher here, squeeze the elbows towards each other just a little bit, and then rotate your sternum towards the ceiling, lean back more, find your back bend, but hug the elbows in. Good. So you feel an actual squeeze of the muscles of your shoulders. Beautiful. And now keep the back bend. Let your hands drape down, arms alongside you, fingers pointing towards the floor. And just keep your chest lifted. Lean back maybe a little bit more, like your hands are going to reach the floor. They're going to reach your ankle. Navel to spine. Good. Come all the way back up, please. Release the hands down to the floor. I know. Bring that right knee or that right hip back in space. Sorry. So it's on top of the right knee. Take your left leg forward, Ardha Hanumanasana. Straighten the left leg. Use blocks underneath the hands if you need. Good. So Maria, just straighten the left leg so that you're up on the heel, half split. Yep, there you go. And then walk your hands forward. You got it. Yep, it's a forward fold. Good, you guys. Good. Take both hands to the inside of that left foot. Good. Turn your left toes in, sending your left butt cheek wide. Good. And then scoop your belly. And while you still have that left butt cheek wide, try and pull your right inner thigh wide. Yeah. So you're actually pulling the thighs away from each other. Like you're trying to square the right hip, even though the left hip is all the way out. Good. And then scoop your belly, please, and start to send that left sit bone back and in. So you're leveling the pelvis. You're bringing that left sit bone back and in, pulling that left thigh bone up and in, scooping. Good. And then walk yourself forward a little bit more straight over that left leg. Yeah. Now you can because you've made a little bit more space in the hip socket. Good. You thought this pose was just about your hamstrings, right? Nice. Walk yourself back up, please. Bring that left foot flat to the floor. Come back to the lunge. Lift the right knee. Good. Both hands inside the front foot. Walk to your right until you come to the center of your mat, turning the toes, come to wide legs, Prasarita-Padottanasana. Good. And then bend the elbows, let the chest drop. Good. And the idea is that if you understand what a pose is asking your body to do, and it's a pose that you struggle with, and Pigeon is one of those poses that typically we joke and say you either love it or hate it, sometimes both. But it's hard to be neutral in it. Right? There's a rare few people who can really just be in it and be like, doesn't matter, I'm comfortable. So if you understand the parts of the body that are asking for more attention that the pose really challenges, is that you can give yourself that support. It doesn't have to be, Pigeon is the only way that I know how to open my hips. Good. One more breath. Hug the feet towards each other. So again, the legs feel active and alive. And then relax through your lower spine. Bend the elbows more. Good. And then walk yourself back towards the top of your mat. Left toes turn forward. Step back to downward facing dog. Good. Slide forward to plank pose, upward push up. Nice. Lower down to your belly. Good. Bend both knees. Kick your heels in towards your butt. Root down through the tops of the thighs, tops of the knees, and then pressing into the hands, lift your chest forward and up. Take your cobra pose with your knees bent. Good. And maybe don't go to your maximum cobra, because once you're there with the chest lifted, is I want you to actually draw in and up through the front of your belly and try and lift your pelvic bones forward and up off of the floor. So again, actively stretching hip flexors. It's no fun. Good. Soften the shoulders, Lorraine. Nice, guys. Good. Kristen, active feet, right foot. There you go. And then release, please. Release the feet, release the chest. Good. Stretch your arms out wide. Separate your feet as wide as your mat. Good. And then you're rolling onto your right side. Yeah. Oh, so sorry. I'm trying to do two different things at the same time. And it's not working. Come back to your belly. Sorry. We'll do the first one first, then we'll do the second one second. How about that? So keep your feet closer together. Arms are out wide, letter T. Roll onto your right hip, please. There you go. So you're stretching the right arm. Good. Left foot can step back behind you if you'd like for balance. Left arm can be in front of you for balance, but this is really to open up that right shoulder. Good. So you've probably seen before, right, that the quote unquote full version of Pigeon, the royal version of Pigeon, is where the back knee is actually bent into a quad stretch, the torso is upright, and the person is reaching back for that ankle either with both hands or in that lovely, we call it like a mermaid position, where they have the foot hooked in one elbow. So guess what we're attempting to do?
The mermaid.
But the point is to get to that full expression, right? Is we can't be satisfied with saying, well, I survive pigeon by coming forward every single time, and I never work at being vertical. I never work my shoulders or my chest in pigeon or my back because I'm so focused on where I feel restricted in my hips. At some point, the poses that challenge us have to bring us somewhere. Otherwise, the struggle is just struggle. There's no point, right? So don't go into your poses saying, I'm just going to struggle the way that I always do and then run away. Be done with it, right? You look for what is the biggest expression of this position I can find, even with my limitations. Slowly unwind yourself, come back to center. Good. On the belly, stretch the arms nice and wide, letter T. Good. And then start to roll onto your left hip, please. Again, stacking. Good. Stacking the hips, sending that right foot back behind you if you'd like. Again, that's an option. You can keep the legs straight and stacked if you prefer. Good. But to be able to do that sort of back bending and to be able to reach back for the foot behind us in that position is that we have to have an openness to the chest. And by working with the whole body, opening up the chest, is you also then will free up space in your lower spine that you didn't know was being restricted because of your shoulders. Good. Royal path in yogic terms is usually the one that is all inclusive. It's the biggest path. So any smaller version will get you somewhere. But the big path is the fast track. Okay, you start to see yourself in your poses as not doing something that is simple and mundane and boring, or that's just struggle. You're actually discovering and maybe even increasing the capacity of the magnificent ability of your body. Good. What you find in yourself through the poses is your magnificence. Good. Slowly release. Come back onto your belly, please. Nice. Forehead to the floor. Legs straight back behind you. Bend your elbows. Come into a wide-armed cobra. So walk your hands a little bit wider off of your mat, but elbows up towards the ceiling. And again, as you press into your fingertips, roll those arm bones forward first so that you have this real openness through the front of your shoulder joint. And then as you start to lift your chest forward and up, come into cobra. Keep that wideness through the front of your chest. Keep your elbows as lifted as you can. And then work those arm bones up and wide so that the openness in the chest is coming from you rotating your shoulder blades, not your elbows. Good. Nice, you guys. Sternum lifts forward. Drop the chin slightly so that you get a longer back of your neck. Nice. Are you pressing into your feet? No, because I didn't tell you to. Press into your feet. Good. And then slowly release, please. Nice. Walk the hands back in. Press up to hands and knees. Take a child's pose. Good. You must be working hard because I'm thirsty. Beautiful. We call it a peak pose sometimes, that if there's a position that is your culmination of all the rest of your asana flow, we call it a peak pose, that you're reaching that pinnacle. Something extravagant is usually what's chosen. And you might think, well, we do pigeon all the time, so it's not that extravagant. We don't often really do pigeon, right? We move through pigeon in order to get somewhere else. We do pigeon because we think we have to, that it's good for us. So can you really do pigeon as a position that is the culmination of your whole practice? Culmination of your life is how you do pigeon. Come back up to hands and knees, downward facing dog. So of course, if it's a pose you struggle with, you're like, no, can't be the culmination of my life is that. Culmination is that you know your body so well that you can find the magnificence of a pose that is challenging. Good. Right foot steps forward between the hands. Lunge. Inhale the arms to the sky. High lunge. Good. So part of this sort of lunge sequence here is we're working progressively, right? So the high lunge gives you a lot of big muscle working. So you can really work through your spine here. So lift the chest up. Good. Bend your back knee a little bit. Lift your hip points higher. So again, you're working through that front of the thigh, the attachment of the quad muscles and the hip flexors. Good. And then maintain that angle of your pelvic bones lifting, but press your back thigh more towards straight again. Good. And find where maybe you have to lift your butt slightly up and back to not get really harsh and stuck in the front of your pelvis. Nice. And then take the arms forward, torso parallels the floor. And as you do, don't let your right butt cheek lift up. Keep your right thigh parallel to the floor. Lift your back thigh higher. Good. And still scoop that right sit bone under. Nice. Good, you guys. Chest has to lift a little bit here. Your back has to work. Nice, Kristen. Good. Release the hands down to the floor. Nice job. Good. Take your right leg up and back behind you. Down dog split. Good. Bend the knee. Take your heel in towards your butt. Stack the right hip on top of the left. Good. Don't let your left heel fall open. So keep that heel drawing in towards the middle of your midline of your mat. Optional is to flip your dog. So taking that right foot back behind you, right arm comes to the sky. Barry, you just gotta be careful because you got blankets there. If you try, be careful. You've got blankets if you try to flip your dog.
I see.
Yeah. Good. Chest open. You got it. Nice, you guys. And then unflip your dog. Come back to that down dog split position. Right leg up. Good. Step the foot forward between the hands. Right foot between the hands. Drop the back knee. Use a blanket if you'd like. Asana. Inhale the arms to the sky. So a little bit more challenging on the hip flexors. Good. So you're really working that front heel and back knee squeezing towards each other. Lift those hip points up. Good. And then take your arms out wide, cactus arms. Good. And same feeling here. If you want to draw those inner elbows forward, you're hollowing forward. So it's like you're scooping your elbows forward, letting your wrists fall back. And then I want you to feel the squeeze here. It's that you're squeezing your lower armpits. Good. So like you're trying to do a pull-up, that same muscle that's going to activate if you're trying to do a pull-up. Squeeze in, draw your ribs in, lift your chest, find your back bend, throat long. Good. And now stretch your arms straight alongside your ears and your back bend, which means your ribs are going to fall back even more because now your arms are helping that. Good. Now keep the sternum lifted, navel in, strong back. Drop the hands towards the floor, like you're going to just reach your fingertips to the floor, but don't focus on that. Don't pop the ribs forward. Keep the lift of your side ribs. Let your pelvis move forward, but keep your spine long. Good. And then slowly release, please. Both hands come back to the floor. Good. Move your left hip back in space so it's right in line with your left knee. Right leg comes forward to straight. Come up on the heel. Bring both hands inside the front foot. Ardha Hanumanasana. Good. Nice, you guys. And so again, both hands are coming inside the front foot so that you can turn your right toes inward, pull your right butt cheek wide. Good. So this is again, internal rotation of the leg, internal rotation of the hip. Good. And as you're pulling that right thigh and right butt cheek wide, now try and pull your left inner thigh wide to the left. Good. And then as you scoop into your low belly, start to send that right sit bone back and in. So again, you're bringing your hip points in line with each other, but keep pushing the inner thighs wide. Good. And then you can walk yourself forward, maybe a little bit more straight over that right leg or stay at that angle inside the leg, either one. Good. Nice, you guys. Scooping through the low part of your belly. You make space for the thigh bone to meet the pelvis. Awesome. Walk your hands back up, please. Bend the right knee, come back to the lunge. Good. Lift your back knee up off the floor and then walk yourself to the left. Come to the center of your mat again, straightening the legs. Prasarita Padottanasana. Good. Feeling your big toe mounds root down to the floor. Nice. Bend your elbows. Maybe even bend your knees a little bit. So as you bend your knees, you can actually send your butt up towards the sky more. So try that, bend your knees. And then really focus on, can you rotate your pelvis, send your tailbone up towards the sky. Good. And then straighten the legs any amount with that. But if straightening the legs makes you tuck your pelvis under, then keep your knees a little bit bent and work the angle of the pelvis. It doesn't mean you're doing Rajakapotasana wrong. It means that you're working with your pelvis instead of your hamstrings. Which, believe it or not, working with your pelvis will also free up your hamstrings. Good. Nice, you guys. Walk yourself back to the top of your mat. Please, right toes turn forward. Spin the back heel up. Step back. Plank pose. Good. I know you could go through down dog if you need, and then come forward to plank. Lower down to your belly, please. Okay. So stretch the legs back behind you. Separate the feet as wide as your mat. And then you're crossing. So take your arms forward in front of you, straight out in front of you. Take your right arm over top of your left. So cross the right arm over the left. Good. And now you're rolling here onto your right side again. Yep. But you're keeping your feet on the mat. So you're rolling towards your right hip. Sorry. Nope. You're rolling towards your left hip. It's because I'm saying it wrong. Roll towards your left hip and bring that right arm back behind you into a twist. My God. So your feet stay nice and wide as your mat, but you're coming all the way back and over. So that right arm comes back behind you into a twist. Sorry. Oh, I'm looking at people online. I'm looking at people in the studio. I don't know what body parts are anymore. Good. You should be in a little bit of a spinal twist here where you're bringing that right shoulder back behind you. Nice. Good. Take one last breath, again, falling back through that right side of the spine. And then slowly bring it all the way back towards center, please. Back to your belly, feet as wide as your mat. Let's try the other side. So cross your left arm over the right, and you're rolling onto your right hip and taking the left arm back behind you for some version of a spinal twist. Good. So you can let that shoulder go as far back as it wants to go. Just try and keep the connection of both feet on the floor. That left hip is going to lift up off of the floor, so don't worry about that. Good. You want to twist all the way open through the side body. Nice, you guys. Good. If nothing that you do is meaningless, nothing that you do is mundane. All of it is royal. All of it is leading you to a more expansive version of yourself. So take none of it for granted. Don't limit it. Don't belittle it. Don't say to yourself that it's only a place where I struggle and nothing else. Come all the way back to center, back to your belly. And that's true for everything, right? We're not just talking about pigeon pose and everything else in your life. You're like, no, I'm still just going to look at that as struggle. Don't do that to any part of your life. Good. Take the feet a little closer together. Please come up onto your forearms for Sphinx pose. Good. Pressing the forearms down into the floor. Kind of really actually enjoy, if you have a block here, is to take the block and place it between your forearms. So turn your palms towards each other, pinky fingers on the floor with the block between your forearms in Sphinx pose. So the block is going to be on its widest setting. Good. So you got to turn onto the pinky edge of your fingers, palms facing each other, squeezing the block. Good. Nice. Press down through the pinky fingers of your hands though. So you're not just pressing into your elbows, you're still pressing down through the whole length of your forearms, lifting the chest up. Good. And then keep squeezing that block, please. Tuck your toes under, drop your chin towards your chest. Start to pull up through your lower rib cage and then lift your hips up off the floor so you're in a forearm plank. Good. Pressing down through the length of the forearms, feeling that pulling forward and in of the thigh bones. Beautiful. Nice, you guys. Nice. Ribs in, chest up. Beautiful. So as elevated and magnificent as you feel in this moment, is that this is what you want to feel in that full version of pigeon, is that you're so engaged. There's not a single iota of you that is not focused on being in this position. Good. Drop the knees to the floor, please. Good. Press back, hands and knees. Find child's pose. The block really helped you find your shoulders though, didn't it?
Yes. And abs.
And abs. Yep. Yeah, we totally take for granted how much your abdominals have to be active and working for us to have an upright spine. So in pigeon, it's totally a lot of your back and your abdominals working together that allows you to stay upright as opposed to just coming forward. Good. Come back to downward facing dog, please. So up to hands and knees. Okay. Right leg up and back behind you, down, dog split. Good. Bend the knee, kick your heel in towards your butt. Stack the right hip on top of the left. And then as your hip is stacked, pull that right knee towards your right armpit. So your thigh is going to parallel the floor. Your knee is at a straight line out to the side from your hip. So you're pulling your knee forward towards your armpit. So your inner thigh is literally parallel to the floor. Yep, exactly what Mark's doing. Good. So look to your left, Barry. There you go. Good, you guys. Pull that thigh up, 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 up. Literally dog peeing on a fire hydrant. Good. And then stretch that leg back and up behind you. Down dog split. Nice job. Good job, Harriet. And then bring that right foot forward between the hands. Lunge. Good. Drop the back knee. Both hands come inside the front foot. Flex your right foot a lot. Drop onto the baby toe. Let your knee start to go wide. Good. And as your knee starts to go wide, good. Lift your butt just a little bit higher. Scoop into your low belly. Lift your hip points up. Keep letting that knee drop wider. Good. From the top of your thighs, just moving away from your belly. Scoop into that low space of the abdominals. Lift the hip points. Good. Now bring your hips forward again if you've gone way backwards into your pelvis. Good. But keep that scoop. Don't push forward through the thighs. Move the pelvis forward, but don't push forward through the thighs. You got it. Keep hollow. Good. And then fingertips still on the floor, please. Either stay here, maybe come down to your elbows, or tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, stay in this position, but lift the back knee up and really work that back leg like it would be in pigeon. You're still on the baby toe edge of the foot. Good. So if being on the baby toe means that it's not a good idea for you to lift your back knee, if it doesn't feel safe on your ankle or any other part, then keep that back knee on the floor. Good. Flex those toes, flex those toes, flex those toes. Kick your back thigh higher so that it's not dipping below your pelvis. There you go. Good, Dana. Awesome, you guys. Drop that back knee to the floor, please, if it isn't already. Good. Take that right foot back to flat. Walk your hands back up. Nice job. And then lift the back knee. Right leg comes up and back down. Dog split. You're like, can we just get to pigeon already?
I know.
We are getting there. Good. Bring that right knee forward and wide for pigeon. Here you go. Good. Back knee is on the floor. Walk your hands in towards the front shin. You can be up on blocks if you'd like. Because I want you to feel like you're using your legs the same way that you would in Anjaneyasana, the same way that you just did, where you were on the more precarious part of your leg, which was balancing on the outer edge of your foot, right? Use your legs the same way here. Press down into that front shin. Good. Scoop and hollow into your low belly. Good. And then lift your chest up, 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 up. Nice. Your hips might be nowhere near the floor here. That's fine because an upright pigeon doesn't demand that. Good. Nice, you guys. And then just keep your left hand on the floor, please. Take your right arm up to the sky. Left hand down, right arm up. I know. Good. Twister, right? Good. Now lean over onto that left hand. Twist a little bit more. Turn open. Turn open. Turn open. Take that right arm reaching back behind you like you're going to touch the wall behind you. Good, which means that you can't lean all the way forward. You got to start pulling through that right arm. Reach backwards, straight back, as though you're going to reach your back foot with that hand. Chest up. And then bring it all the way back forward, please. Release the hand. Lift the back knee, downward facing dog. No, I'm not going to let you come forward in pigeon. No, no, no. Good. I won't even suggest a vinyasa. Left leg up and back. Bend the knee, kick your heel in towards your butt, lift the left hip, stack the left hip, and then pull that knee forward, parallel to the floor. So it's like you're trying to pull your knee in towards your armpit. So literally you can draw a straight line from your hip out to your left knee, straight to the left. Good. So your thigh parallels the floor. You got to really work the outer hip here, inner thigh. So you're still lifting the knee as high as you can. Good. I know it's a lot harder. And then take the leg back behind you, down dog split. Really good. Nice, Sarah. And then bring that left knee forward and wide, pigeon pose. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Bring that foot forward between the hands. We didn't do the whole lunge on this side. Don't. Ooh, left foot forward, flat to the floor. Drop your back knee. Both hands inside the front foot. Good. Delayed gratification is good for your mind. Flex the foot. Start to come onto the baby toe edge. Again, top of the thigh. Focus on the top of the thigh, not the knee. The top of your thigh is opening wider. And as you relax the muscles around your hip and allow the top of the thigh to go wider, you're letting the rotation of that thigh bone move in the hip, letting it move in the pelvis. Good. And then scooping into your low belly, lift your hip points up a little higher, and then bring your whole pelvis forward, but don't push through the thighs. So Barry, you got to keep your butt lifted just a little bit more. Scoop and hollow. There you go. And then again, optional here is you might just stay where you are, come down onto your forearms, or you might tuck your back toes and lift your back knee and come into that lunge with the back knee lifted. Again, that will depend on how stable you feel on that left ankle, left knee. Good. Nice. Keep hollowing the lowest place of your belly. So you're lifting your hip points up towards your ribs and you're sending your sit bones back towards the wall, opposition. Good. Nice. Release that back knee down to the floor, please. Take your left foot to flat. Good. Walk the hands back in and then find your way back to down dog split. Can't believe none of you were going to tell me that we didn't do. Good. Now bring the left knee forward and wide, pigeon pose. That you are so warmed up and ready for it. Good. Again, pressing into the front shin, use blocks underneath your hands if you'd like. We're working the vertical pigeon. So that means you have to press into that front shin. You have to squeeze, again, like you would in Anjaneyasana, that front hip and the back hip moving towards each other. Good. Up on fingertips, up on blocks. Get your chest as high as it will go. Hollow into your low belly. Lift those hip points. Nice. Good. And then right hand stays on the floor. Left arm comes up. Twist. So the first twist, right, is reaching straight up, turning your ribs. Good. And then as you turn your ribs even more, turn, 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 turn. Stretch that left arm straight back from the chest like you're just opening a door from your shoulder. And then reach through those fingertips like you're leaning back through your ribs to find the wall behind you. So you get taller. You get more vertical because you're reaching back through that left arm. I know you don't want to. Good. This is your magnificence here. Relax your shoulders. Good. Come all the way back. Release the hand. Lift the back knee. Downward facing dog. Ay, 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 ay. I know. Slide forward to plank pose. Lower down to your belly. Bend your knees. Kick your feet in towards your butt. Reach back for the feet or the ankles. Bow pose. Good. If you can't reach your feet today or hands are not going to reach your feet today, keep your hands on the floor. And you're going to do that cobra variation we did in the beginning with your knees bent. If you are holding your feet, kick your feet back against your hands, pull your low rib cage and bend your elbows just a little bit so you keep your arms plugged into your shoulder socket. And then lift the thighs, lift the ribs. Good. Kick those heels up. Nice. Subtle bend to the elbows. Bow pose. Good. Nice, Sarah. Good. And then slowly release, please. Really good, Joanne and Lorraine. Nice, Maria. And then go ahead and come back up to hands and knees, please. Circle your hips, move your pelvis. hula dance. Royal path, the one that is expansive, where every step on it, even if it seems like it's very mundane or simple, is meant to make you aware of your innate magnificence, and that that's what you treat yourself as. Move your hips the other direction, please. So it is interesting that of all poses, it's pigeon that is the royal one. They don't add that on to any other position. I don't know why pigeon is that. I've never heard an explanation. Good. Come back to stillness, please. Downward facing dog. I know, we're getting so close. Right leg up and back behind you. Bring that knee forward and wide. Pigeon. Rajakapotasana. Walking your hands up onto your blocks. Again, we're no forward pigeoning today. Upright, upright, upright. And then if you can, begin to bend your left knee. Kick your heel back in towards your butt. Press down through the top of that left thigh. So you are, again, squeezing the legs towards each other. Does not matter how close your hips are to the floor. Let them be 10,000 miles away from the floor. You're working through the stretch of that thigh through your hip flexors. Good. And then if you can, reach back for the foot or the ankle. Nice. Other hand stays on a block. Stay upright. Good. Chest to the sky. Magnificent, as though the peacock, or as the pigeon itself thinks it's a peacock. Thinks it's a royal bird. Because who's to say that it isn't? Good. One more breath. Chest up, throat up, mind up. And then release the foot, please. Release the hands. Good. Press back downward facing dog. No frills at this point. Downward dog. Bend your knees. Do a little cat and cow. Good. But this is what I mean about truly doing pigeon. Is that when you come into the pose, do you come into it and really intend to work in it? Or do you come into it and say, I'm going to do it because it's good for me, and then I want to get as far away from it as possible? Do you ever consider in pigeon, instead of coming forward, that you could be vertical and reach for this really big back bend, holding the foot, make it royal? Or do you stay in that mindset that says, I'm going to do the bare minimum because it's hard? Come back to straight legs. Good. Pigeon second side, left leg up and back behind you. And then bring the knee forward and wide. Pigeon pose, left leg forward. Good. Making sure that, again, your pelvic bones are facing straight ahead. If your back leg is trending towards the midline of your mat, it's actually angling in. It's going to make the quad stretch extremely difficult. So make sure that your back foot, if you can look backwards, that it's pretty much in line with your hip. It's not coming inward. Good. Nice. And then you're upright. You're pressing into that front shin, active foot. You're drawing in through your navel. You're even feeling the low armpit squeeze in to lift your spine. Good. Bend the right knee. Take your heel in towards your butt if you can. And then if you can reach back for the foot, go for it. Nice. And squeezing and squeezing. Other hand can stay on the floor, or you can reach back both hands for the foot and start to work a little bit more of the back bend, lifting the chest up, 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 up. Good. Nice, Joanne. Nice, Kristen. Nice, Joy. Good, Maria. Yeah, hold it one more breath because you're magnificent.
We still haven't gotten the king.
And then slowly release. Well, this is probably as close as we're going to get to it today. So king pigeon is what you just did, but having the foot hooked inside your elbow. So if what you just did, holding the foot, was super challenging, you can't hook your foot in your elbow today. So don't worry about it. Downward facing dog. But the point is that if you've gotten here today and you can feel, oh, this is what my body's really capable of, if you practice this, is you will get to that point where the back bend is more accessible, and you will be able to draw that heel in a little bit more because your thigh is more open, your pelvis is more open. Then you can start worrying about hooking the foot into your elbow and being fancy. Good. One more breath. Yeah. And then drop the knees to the floor, please. Good job. Child's pose, hips back to your heels. Good. But this style of practice, what I hope that you find is that the things leading up to the pose are as significant as the pose itself. That if you go into your practice thinking that every single pose I do today is for me to experience pigeon more fully or more completely or more easefully, then every single pose that you do is you practicing pigeon. You're not doing lunge and then doing happy baby and then doing this other poses. You are practicing pigeon. When you finally get to the actual expression of the pose, then great, you're there. But you've been practicing pigeon all along. And this is a metaphor for the way that you can go about your life, is that you can look at it as these isolated little events or things that are happening, or you can see it as the magnificence of your life unfolding. You can be a pigeon or you can be a royal pigeon. Which one do you want to be? Walk yourself back up, please. Come to sit on your butt. A one-legged royal pigeon. Bottoms of the feet together, please. Baddha Konasana, let your knees go wide. Maybe a little bit of a longer diamond on your Baddha Konasana today. If your hips are feeling like they've really been challenged, make your diamond longer, move your feet further away. If your hips are feeling like, ooh, I've never been this open, or I haven't been this open in a while, maybe draw your heels closer in and really let yourself go a little bit deeper into your groins. Good. So your choice, what your body is asking for. And then forward fold, however you'd like. You can have the arms in front of you. You can hold the feet. Just active feet. Curl your toes back. Press into the baby toe edges of the feet. Good. The royal path is the one that is all inclusive, or it's the one that takes you to the heart of things, the big places. So whatever path you're walking, make it royal. Don't assume that it's going to always just be a limitation and struggle and challenge. That all of that is leading you to the expansiveness, the magnificence. Good. Walk yourself back up, please. Nice job. Find your way onto your backs. Yes. Good. Heads facing whichever way you want in the studio. It is kind of nice since you are moving towards Shavasana if you want to do what we usually do with heads facing center in. That's nice. Nobody knows what to do anymore. Out of habit. Good. Draw your knees in towards your chest, please. Take your right thigh on top of your left. Separate your feet. Reach for your ankles or your shins. Notice I very clearly did not do the pigeon on your back variation either. Instead, we did the active version, cross-legged chair. Good. Release the feet. Let your shins come together. Scoot your hips over to the right. Drop your knees to the left. Spinal twist with the legs wrapped. Good. If having the legs wrapped does not feel good, then unwrap them and just stack the knees and spinal twist. Good. Right arm can come straight out from the shoulder. It can come up alongside the ear. Good. And then unwind your legs, please. Come back to center. Nice. Switch the cross of the legs. So left leg comes on top of right. Separate the feet. Reach for the ankles or the shins. Good. Again, letting the low back anchor down to the floor. Good. Joanne, lean a little bit more onto that right side of your low back. There you go. A little more weight on the right side. Good. Nice Nice, you guys. Then release the feet. Please bring the shins together. Move your hips over to the left and drop your knees to the right. So the legs are wrapped. Good. Again, left arm can go wide or up alongside the ear. I would say if in those rare cases there are hips or pelvises that rotation of pigeon just does not work upright, is that you work the same concepts in Anjaneyasana, the foot flat. Right? That there's a difference between finding what is our alternative for, am I opening my hip, right? That we can do on our backs, absolutely. We can do it in many other ways. Or am I trying to open my spine, or am I trying to do both? So to get that full expression of what we consider to be royal pigeon, full pigeon, you can't do it on your back. I have yet to find a way to do it on your back. So you work in an Anjaneyasana with the foot flat. Same magnificence. Unwind your legs, please. Come back to center. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Bring your forehead up to meet your knees. Squeeze. Good. And then as you slowly release, extend the legs out in front of you, arms alongside you, palms facing up. It might be nice, again, if your lower back is one that tends to get a little bit cranky, if you want to place a rolled blanket or something underneath your knees here. It's a lovely way to support the release of the pelvis, softening of the thighs. And then can you let yourself drop inward and feel that the work that you've done, whatever you think you did well or not well, it's magnificent. Very gently bring the awareness back to your breath. Let the body begin to stretch and move in whatever ways serve it best. When you're ready, draw the knees in towards your chest. Roll to your right side. Take a moment there before you begin to push the floor away. Come back to an upright seated position. Bringing the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. I think we're asked in yoga to switch our mentality from this feeling that every time we come across an obstacle that it proves to us that we're limited, that every time we come across an obstacle and we keep moving forward that we prove that we're infinite. The obstacles don't tell us that we're less, they tell us every single time that we're more. That pigeon is a beautiful example of this. Why is it a royal pigeon? No idea. But to take something that seems like it's so common, so mundane, you've done it over and over again, maybe with no idea why, maybe no idea what it's meant to do, or you never feel like you're getting anywhere, and you use it as a way to say, my body's not as open as it should be. But every time you come into the pose, if you do it with this intention that it's showing you the magnificence of what you can do, it's showing you the way to have a more open pelvis, more open legs, more open relationship with yourself, then it becomes the royal path. It brings you to your expansiveness every single time. And so it's your attitude. If everything that you are looking at, you expect to be nothing or expect to be mundane, that is what you will find. If you feel yourself to be magnificent and walking that royal path, then everything that you do will open you to your magnificence. So do you want to be a royal pigeon, or do you want to just be a pigeon? Choose. We'll close with the sound of Om. Deep breath in. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your night, great rest of your week until I see you again. Hooray for the new time. Think it's working well so far. We'll see you soon.